Hi, Ravi. I didn't know this is my first time doing this, so I didn't know how this would work. So we'll see if anybody else. Good morning. See if anybody else comes on. Otherwise, it might just be you and I. How's your morning going? Oh, I got my coffee. What time is it there? Well, if you're looking for things to journal, I got some ideas here. I'm doing good. I'm a little nervous, but um, oh yeah, you must be same time as me, Central. Yeah. That's true. It is just people. I'm gonna give it till 5 after, and then I got a little bit of just some notes and stuff because I wanted to be a little prepared. Oh, good. Thank you. Um, I'll start with a little background just so there's not a whole lot of silence. I don't know. I forget what I share where, but I have a background in social work, so um, these tough topics come like kind of easy for me. As far as professionally, I have a lot of knowledge of like trauma and shadow work and working through stuff. But then, of course, I'm human, so I have personal experience, which of course I share a lot on the channel. So I thought that odd combination of what I do professionally and personally might be kind of an interesting space in this community. So it's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, I agree because it's um I've had a lot of oh hi, it's Jess, right? Hi, witchy best friend. Yeah, I was telling Ramneet that I have I'm a social worker, so I have a lot of experience in trauma and kind of like social work stuff. So um, it kind of um, gives me an added nuance of. I'm not saying that I know everything about it, but it kind of adds a layer of understanding other people and the tougher topics that we discuss about. So, um, what time is it where you're at, Jess? It's 5 after. I was giving it till 5 after to start, but hope you got something to drink. I'll be sipping on my big mug of coffee. So I don't know if you had a chance to watch my video, but I didn't realize that I had shame. I felt I had a lot of guilt, especially around mothering and just how I treated people and things like that. Oh, good. Oh, yeah, I'm here in Missouri, so it's raining right now, but it's sticky. Yeah. So, um, so I prepared some notes, and then I brought cards just in case anybody thought for fun wanted me to pull some cards. So, but we don't have to do that. I wanted to talk about first um, what cycle. So I realized after doing some research that the bondage I was talking about was more psychological bondage. So, kind of the definition I found for that is it refers to a mental or emotional state in which a person feels trapped, controlled, or powerless due to internal or external psychological influences. Unlike physical bondage, this form of entrapment occurs in the mind and can be caused by fear, guilt, manipulation, trauma. And I don't think anybody goes through life, childhood, or adulthood without trauma. So, belief system or conditioning. So kind of that was like kind of, you know, um, I mean, we could be physically bonded to something negative too, without being the actual physical, in ropes and chains and and all that. But the psychological bondage, I feel, is what I know I'm stuck with a lot of times, and I don't always see it. So, um, key elements of kind of like psychological bondage is loss of autonomy. So you feel like you don't have free choices. I definitely feel like I'm there. I feel like sometimes I am a drone, just kind of stuck to those bondages and not making progress on them. Emotional dependency often involves a deep attachment to people, ideas, even when harmful. I definitely, in my marriage, was very codependent. So it took a lot of work to kind of change that. I do feel like I've made progress in that, so that's a plus. Um, and then, of course, internal conflict. So a struggle between our desires to be who we want to be and the fear of change, abandonment, things like that. Um, so some examples that I found that were kind of relatable is um, this one the first one, a person staying in an abusive relationship due to fear, guilt, or low self-worth, someone unable to break free from destructive habits or ideologies due to the ingrained belief systems. Definitely, I can relate to that one. Feeling unworthy or obligated to constantly please others, even at the cost of personal well-being. I was raised to be a people pleaser. Was anybody else raised to be a people pleaser? Um, I don't know. I'm a kid from the 90s, so I was a latchkey kid and had a lot of babysitters. Yes, yes. I don't know if is it because we're women, or was it just how we were raised culturally or whatnot? So, um, yes, yes. And I think, yeah, I feel like it's a stereotype of genders for the woman to be more docile, more wanting to please others. Um, and I'm trying to break free of that, because then that's kind of where the guilt comes in, where it's like, oh, hi. I have a presentation, so I was just kind of going into it. Right now we're on psychological bondage, so kind of going through that, kind of feeling unworthy or obligated to please others is what we're talking about now, and it sounds like a lot of us in here can relate. So then, while I was doing that reading, and I was digging more into my thoughts around it, I realized I've known I've had a lot of fear in things. Yeah, exactly, Jess. Yes, never make a scene. Always be um, kind of like I never didn't grow up in the South, but kind of what we think of as a Southern belle kind of thing. Always, um, keep things inside. And um, but I must tell you, one time my ex-husband said to me, "Don't make a scene, don't make a scene." And I was like, "Oh, you want a scene? You want me to not make a scene? I'm gonna make a scene." So I've definitely had my moments of um, not, of being able to make a scene. And also when I go into mama bear mode, um, my kids are like, don't. I know I am a rebel. uh, just for some levity, because this is a heavy topic. One time, my ex-husband and I, this always makes me crack up. My ex-husband and I were arguing, and I said, "You put the dick in dictator." I love that. I was like, that is like the perfect. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I got squirrel moment there, but yeah. I've always been kind of mouthy, but people pleasing at the same time. Like, I would feel guilty if I the guilt instead of being like, I don't know. So um exactly, Rochelle. Yeah. Don't tell me not to because I will. Exactly. So fear was the next thing I was going to kind of talk on. And I remember being fearless when I was younger. Like I think youth should is about that. Oh yeah, calling me crazy. Or calm down. Calm down. I'm not going to calm down now. Uh, I'm like, you haven't even seen crazy yet. So um and it seems like the older I get, the more fear I have. I think I don't know if it's a time thing because I know time is winding down because it does for everyone. Um, or I just had so much hubris as a when I was young. I just wanted to conquer the world. Um, exactly. Calm down. So psychological fear is an emotional and mental response to a perceived threat or danger, even when there is no immediate physical threat present. It originates from the mind and is often based on past experiences, imagined outcomes, or internal beliefs. So some key, I'm looking down because I have notes just so everybody knows. Key aspects are um, like the mental origin is unlike instinctive fear triggered by real immediate danger. Psychological fear stems from thoughts such as fear of failure, rejection, loss, or the unknown. Um, so definitely, I think I have a fear of failure. I have had imposter syndrome before. I'm a big fan of fake it to make it, but then the opposite of that is then you feel like you're faking it so much that you're not really good at it. But over time I've come to realize that by faking it I did make it real. So at some point it did become something that I was adapt to. Um, so again, it's all about mental perceptions and how you can kind of get that in your mind to make it okay. Um, a lot of times we have fear anticipating things. So even worry, I worry a lot. My mom raised me to be a worrier because she told me that um, whatever you worry about doesn't happen, right? So it was like worry about everything. Um, and that's where the bondage comes in with the worry because I get so wrapped up in worrying about it that I want to know how it's going to end up. So that's where like the tarot thing that I was speaking about in that video um, is like I want I want it to be predictive. I want it to tell me what is going to happen. And again, it's not what I believe tarot is for. So Rochelle says, I just think we need to find ways to set ourselves up, yes, for success, not failure. Yes, definitely. Much of it is our own mental processes. I agree. I agree. Um, so, of course, fear can be anxiety, avoidance behaviors, self doubt, limiting personal growth or freedom. So, let's see here. And then the final thing that was shocking to me in that reading was I always, like I said earlier, I always felt like I had a lot of guilt over things. And I couldn't think of anything, especially when Rochelle did that, my astrology reading, we talked about, the Black Moon Lilith and the shame. And I felt like shame wasn't something I ever really had. But that reading really brought to me that I do have that feeling. And it's kind of liberating to acknowledge that. But now I'm like, what do I do with that information? Oh, yes, Jess, after cancer. Yeah, definitely. It probably put a lot of things in perspective, right? Did it, did that help you become less of a people pleaser? Yeah, taught shame. hmm That is true. Shame that people have put on us. Is that what you mean, Rochelle? Um, let's see here. Shame is a deeply painful emotion that arises from the belief that there is something inherently wrong, bad, or unworthy about oneself. Unlike guilt, see, this is where I got confused with the two, which is about feeling bad for what you have done. Shame is about feeling bad for who you are. Um, so I, yeah, so shame, my understanding of that, and in the comments, let me know. So shame sounds like it's way more internalized, and probably way more damaging to your psyche. Um, and um, where guilt is, I think guilt maybe comes more from fear. I'm just kind of like brainstorming in my mind while I sit here. Um, oh, Jess, I'm sorry your mom died. That's true. But I mean, grief, if you can work through that grief, you can definitely come out the other side um, with a new understanding of just how precious life is. So let's see here. Ravneet, I agree. There's nobody coming to save us except us. So, um, and I think that's the hard part about being an independent woman in society is like, I don't know. I used to think, you see all those movies that set up expectations of what a relationship should be like, what love should be like, and it's just a trope. It's the same story over and over again. But I ate that shit up like crazy. So Rochelle says you should feel shame if you, says society. It is much like the seven deadly sins kind of thing. That taught shame as a way of controlling the narrative. True. Um, and then, so key aspects of shame is self-focused, thinking you're bad or rather you did something bad. It's internalized. It often stems from past experiences such as criticism, abuse, rejection, or unmet expectations. It can lead people to withdraw, isolate, hide, or silence themselves out of fear of being judged or exposed. Now, definitely, I think shame will definitely silence us. Of course, it is toxic when chronic. Chronic shame can contribute to low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, or difficulty forming healthy relationships. So that I just wanted to start with basic, just like terms and kind of understanding it, and then I wanted to focus kind of like on how we can heal from those things. Um, so healing from shame, it often involves having self-compassion and acceptance, challenging negative beliefs, and then also, something like this, sharing one's story in a safe, supportive environment, which the internet is always so safe, but you know, what you're willing to share and put out there. Um, you know, so that's why actually starting this YouTube channel has done me a world of good because um, it does make me think of topics, kind of shadowy things that I want people to not feel so alone in that. Um, but it it typically takes me to a space where I'm like, oh my gosh, um, never really thought of that. And that's again that reading I had where I just realized that I do have a lot of shame, or some shame, not a lot, but some around specific things. When I have a sip of my big coffee. Um, there's a quote here from Brene Brown. I don't know, is anybody, I like her. Um, though I think she can go a little bit on the toxic positivity thing, but I do like what she talks about for vulnerability and things like that. Um, she describes it as intense, painful feeling or experience of believing that we're flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. Um, I wanted to be perfect all the time. It kind of went back to that people pleasing thing. I I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to do nothing wrong, and if I did something that I felt was wrong, like it would eat me up. Um, And that's not really living life. That's just existing. And chronic, it's too much. It's too much. So I've definitely been working on getting rid of that feeling like I'll never belong, I'm never good enough kind of things. Um, yeah. So perfectionism. Um, I did go to therapy for that, and I know I've shared a lot of times that therapy has been off and on hits for me, but there have been moments where therapy was good for me. Um, and then, does anybody else have this where something just clicks, like a concept just clicks? And I just realized without knowing it that perfectionism wasn't as important to me. I want to be good, I want to do things right. Um, but being kind and being human is more important to me than being perfect. So let's see here. There was a list on what I had prepared of like different ones of like what could cause them, but I wanted to focus on the internal expectations and self-judgment because that's really where I'm at with this. Again, that perfectionism and feeling ashamed for making mistakes, feeling not enough, no matter how much it is achieved. Again, that's something that I have poorly. Oh, Jess. Oh, well, that's good. Support system makes a big difference, a huge difference, and so big hugs. Um, yeah, yeah, that's a tough place to be. Um, I can I can relate to some of that, Jess. I've actually, um, I'm not, I am ashamed of it because society tells me to be ashamed of it, but I've done a stint in the psych ward. It changed my life for the better. The best, it was the best experience because it led me to divorce a very toxic man and reclaim my power. And and it taught me that if you take situations that are given to you and you turn them into positives, I mean, that's my experience. So as far as those feelings, not knowing your full story, I could relate to some point of what leads to those feelings. So I share that for that. Um, yeah, it really did help me take my power back, Rochelle. Um, and again, there's shame around it because it's like, oh, you've been to the psych ward, rubber room, but it wasn't that at all. It it really was a good experience for me. So that's good that you're not ashamed of it. We shouldn't be, but again, kind of like what Rochelle was talking about, society makes us think we should have that shame around that. Um, so, but I don't in general mind sharing that story. Um, 100%. It's very empowering. Yes. Um, yeah. Oh, you have two? Yeah. Yeah. It really can help. Um, again, with, mental health, um, I mean, I looking back, I just wanted to, I mean, I love my children more than anything. But the pain was just so real that it was unbearable and it scared me enough to get help, thankfully. Not everybody is able to do that, but I feel blessed that I was. So, and I feel blessed that you were, Jess, for your situation. So 100%, no shame in it. So, um, oh, so I thought this was interesting and very, very on point is shame often grows in silence, secrecy, and isolation. Um, and I think that's exactly what we're touching on here. So, recognizing its sources is a powerful first step in healing, building self awareness, practicing self compassion, and speaking openly in safe spaces like therapy or group of friends, sport groups can dismantle that shame's hold. So, I thought that was very, very good acknowledging that. And then what I have on healing from psychological bondage, fear, shame, it's a deeply personal process. It involves reconnecting with your inner power, which we've already touched on, knowing your own truth and sense of self-worth. So I found core paths to healing. One thing as far as helping heal those things is acknowledge and name what you're feeling. I know my generation, you know, my generation was, I feel, at the tail end of the, you know, previous older generations where you didn't seek counseling, you didn't seek therapy, you didn't speak about your problems. You hid them. They were shameful. I'm glad to see that is very much change, or is changing in our society. But, and I like, as a social worker, when I work with families of children, I really try to help them teach their kids how to identify what they're feeling. Because if you can't identify it, you can't understand it and kind of heal from it. So, oh yes, Rochelle, she said it kind of loses its hold on you when awareness comes in. That's why one of the oldest concepts about knowing thyself is so important. 100%. Yep, absolutely. So healing begins with honesty. Denial keeps psychological bondage in place. So one thing you can say to yourself is, I am feeling fear, shame. I even the good stuff. I'm feeling loved. I am feeling happy with myself. I'm feeling happy. Like Jess and her partner, I'm happy. I'm happy in that loving relationship. It's healing. It's this, like, acknowledging it and giving it power. So it doesn't have to just be always the negatives. Like, I think sometimes we don't take time. I don't take enough time to acknowledge the positives in my life. So, people always like to keep a gratitude journal and stuff. And I have a hard time keeping up with stuff like that. Like, I like the concepts, but every day writing something you're grateful for. I mean, every day I'm grateful for my life. So I don't know. I am jealous, Jess. I wish I do wish that I practice more gratitude. But, and maybe that's, with us having this conversation, maybe that's where I start, acknowledging and name what I'm feeling. So 100% of need awareness. Mm-hmm. The second thing it says is to identify the source. So you ask yourself, where did this belief or fear or shame or whatever come from? Was it childhood? Was it trauma? Is it situational? Cultural pressure? Everything we've been talking about in this chat. I mean, it's like, where is this coming from? Is it coming from reality? Yes. Don't always write it down, but feeling it. Yeah, just acknowledging it. I've done times when I've journaled, but I come in and out of that stuff. Oh, yeah. I started to journal, and I did 3 months. That was pretty good for me at the beginning of this year. But honestly, I'm kind of a boring person. So, but I did have a blog for several years when I had it for 10 years when I was going through my mental health journey of figuring out what was wrong with me. And it was raw and visceral. It was very private. I was able to stay very anonymous. None of my family knew I had it. And that community was very important to me and helping me. And then what happened was I got to a space where the medication was working. I just didn't have, like, I didn't have anything to share. I mean, I had gratitude and I had thankfulness and things like that, but I didn't have those raw emotions that draw people to that community. And honestly, I just didn't need it anymore. And that's the thing. So I guess thinking about it, I did, it was a blog, but I did write a journal like. So, oh, 11. Oh, yeah. That's cool. It's something you have in common with your mom, Jess. That's awesome. That's amazing. I really think that's cool. Now, do you keep them, Jess? Like, do you like when they're done, do you get rid of them? Are you ever afraid? See, I'm always afraid somebody's going to read them. So, a journaling and a sticker. I've done that. Yes, I've been down that rabbit. You got to have all the things. All the things. I get it. That's cool. Now, I never went back and read my posts. I that might have been a shame thing too. I never went back and reread anything I ever wrote. Do you go back and look and kind of gauge, like, look what progress I've made. Look what I've done. Digital journaling, if I could speak right. Yeah, that way you can put a code on that. So anyway, this also says often psychological bondage is rooted in conditioning or unhealed wounds. Again, we're totally ahead of the notes I prepared because we've already been speaking about that. And I don't like my writing, so that's another thing. It's maybe it's a good thing people can't read my writing very well, because if they did get my journal, they wouldn't know what I wrote. So the next thing is challenging those beliefs. This one I think can be hard because, a lot of them are so ingrained. So this says write down beliefs like I'm not good enough. If I speak up, I'll be rejected. Then challenge them. Is this actually true? Replace them with empowering truths like my voice matters, I am enough. That's a typical therapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy thing. Black and white thinking, those kind of psychological terms. Oh, you're a lefty? That's cool. Let's see here. So then the fourth thing is to, of course, practice self-compassion. Shame often fades in the presence of kindness and non-judgment. Treat yourself the way you would a wounded child, with gentleness, not punishment. And is anybody, I have a feeling most of us in the room are going to say we're the same way. I've always been, if you harassed my friend or you made fun of my friend or my children or anything, like I was like on it. But if somebody did the same thing to me, I did not offer myself the same tenacity to be like, no, I'm not going to put up with that. You're not going to treat me that way. But if it was a friend, I'd be like, no, don't talk to my friend that way. I just would take it, and I would, or I didn't recognize it. I shouldn't necessarily say I wouldn't take it. It's like I don't recognize if I'm being treated not kind. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Let's see here. So, of course, therapy. Fifth is therapy and professional support. This mentions EMDR, which is the I one. I always kind of wanted to see if that one would be good for me. I don't know. So, of course, I do think therapy can be great and excellent if you find the right therapist, someone you can trust. I know my son, he has an awesome therapist. So, and the other thing is, so meditations, breath work. I think tarot goes into this, where you can, mind body practices is the next one. So this is where, like, to me, tarot comes in, meditation. So it kind of calms the nervous system and restores safety to the body. Somatic healing, focusing on body sensation is powerful for shame and trauma. I'm not familiar with somatic healing. I think I might look into that some more because I think that might be beneficial. I think learning to respect ourselves is important, makes our inner child see we are standing up for them, which heals. Oh, 100%. I'm going to have to think about that some more. I like that. I'm getting off on a scroll tangent on my mind. I like that a lot. And then reclaim your personal power. So setting boundaries, saying no, making that psychological bondage powerless, speaking your truth, taking small risks that break old patterns. So, and I think going along with that is taking those small risks, not being afraid to fail. Because sometimes we do fail, and that's okay. But the risk, I hope you would find the risk, even if you do fail, beneficial in some way. Connect with safe people. Like it said earlier, shame thrives in silence. Healing begins when you are seen, heard, and accepted without judgment. Trusted friends, mentors, community group. It breaks the isolation and shows that you're not alone. So, and then again, this mentions specifically spiritual practices. That's why tarot, I really like it a lot. Because sometimes I think it's kind of like my best friend giving me advice when I don't have a lot of friends, and I definitely don't have that. Okay, thanks for stopping by, Rochelle. Enjoy your day. Oh, it's raining here, but I'm glad you have sun. Bye. Let's see here. And then some final thoughts are shame dies when stories are told in safe places. That is an Ann Voskamp quote. Oh, hi. Somebody new came in here or is speaking up. I'm sorry. I don't barefoot on the Gaia path. I don't know your name. I'm Angela. Big crone energy on here. So I like that. For 40 years, I've told myself I don't fail. I just fall down and get back up. I like that a lot. It makes me think of that Chumbawamba song. I get knocked down, then I get up again. Anybody else? Hi, Darla. So yeah, now I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head all day, but that's okay. It'll be a happy memory of this first live stream I'm doing. So, and again, I appreciate you guys for being here. It's really, it's again that fear of failure, right? So, it's having that community and feeling appreciated. No, 100%. We're not supposed to live in isolation or neat. I also do think, though, I had such a large circle of friends when I was younger. I do like that I don't have a lot of, I just don't have the energy or the space to pretend to be, I don't know. Like, again, that perfectionism when I was younger, try to be the perfect person. I was a person who assimilated to others. So if somebody was into comic books, I was into comic books. If somebody was into this, I was into that. So, oh, hi. More intuitive to me. I don't know your name either. And I was in your live yesterday and I never caught it. So we're talking about how you can kind of heal from the shame. Elizabeth, okay, I'll have to remember. How we can heal from the shame and whatnot. And just kind of talking about our experiences and what shame and fear and psychological bondage can do. So there, the other thing that was in here that I thought was interesting is it had the inner compassion ritual, so a self-healing practice. The time needed for it is 5 to 10 minutes. You'll need a quiet space and a journal, which we were talking about journals earlier. So there you go. Step 1 is ground yourself. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, soften your gaze, take 3 deep, slow breaths. With each exhale, imagine releasing tension. And then say to yourself softly, I am safe in this moment. I belong to myself. And really, you can say anything you want, but that's just a jumping off point. And then 2 is acknowledge the wound. So acknowledge the shame, the trauma, whatever is around that. And it says here to place your hand over your heart and say to yourself, something inside me is hurting. It may be fear, shame, or an old belief, I am listening. Allow whatever emotion or thought arises without judgment, just simply witness it. Step 3 is offer compassion. And again, we talked about this earlier. Imagine you are speaking to your younger self. So like Revneet said, your child, your inner child when you were younger, or the wounded part of you. And just tell yourself, tell that child, tell that inner person, you do not have to carry this alone anymore. You are not bad. You are not broken or too much. And that's another thing that we haven't touched on. I very much have often felt broken and that I was too much. Has anybody else been told that they were too much at times? And I wish I would have thought of said, well, you're not enough for me then, and walked away. Yeah, you're not enough. So I'm walking away from you in this situation. And then you can also say you are worthy of love, peace, and healing. And then let that sink in and just breathe into it. And then, and then affirm your freedom. Say this aloud or write it in a journal, like we were talking about. I release the chains of fear and shame. I choose truth, courage, and compassion. I am healing. I am growing. I am free. I really like that. I am healing. I am growing. I am free. So, and then I also think, this isn't said in here, but I also think then sitting back at the tail end and just acknowledging that you're making that space for whatever emotions to come in, for whatever sensations to come in. And also be aware of what's your body feeling. Is it feeling more tension after doing that? Or is it feeling lighter? Especially if you're journaling it, maybe over time, notice how easier it's getting to get into those modes and to let those things go. Exactly, Revneet. It means you are not valued. So inner child thinks it's the other way. Yeah, 100%. So then, they had some journaling prompts that I found that I thought I would just throw out there. If you want to go back and speed through this part, to remember them later. Where did I first learn to feel ashamed or fearful? What would I say to my younger self? I know that's something that goes around a lot on the internet, not just in all communities. I think on TikTok now, I heard that's a big thing where people are writing or doing videos talking to their younger self. I've done that years ago. I did that when I had that blog. And then, So anyway, that's what I have to share for today. I thought I did pull out some cards, but we don't have to do that. I've got about 15 more minutes that I can be on. I've got the, I was told this is Wisdom of the Wild Things. These are the backs. So this one folks have said is good for that kind of like shame or your work. Has anybody seen this one? Oh yeah, Elizabeth. Yeah. Did you keep it? I'm always fascinated if people keep their journals just as she does. And if you go back and revisit. I don't revisit. I don't know. There's just something, there's like a block in me that I don't revisit. But I kind of wish the letter I wrote to my younger self, because I did that about 10 years ago when I would have been 38, and I wrote it to my 28-year-old self. It would have been kind of neat to see, like, if I wrote to myself now, the differences. Anyway, this one. And then I was watching somebody's video earlier today, and I've had the Triumpha de Luna, and I never knew what to do with this deck. But all of a sudden, the artwork, when I saw that video, it was a VR. 50 years. Wow. Elizabeth says she revisits it sometimes. Oh, intention and buried it. Nice. Yeah. I think that's healthy, Darla, to go back and look at them. I think the fact that I didn't is saying something greater in me. I just don't know what it is yet. It's one of those things you gotta, like, why I'm doing this kind of thing, because I need to unbury some stuff. I've kept a lot of things buried, and I'm done with that. I just, but it's a slow process. So anyway, I've decided that when I'm doing this work around shame and stuff, I'm going to use this deck. I picked it up on an impulse, and I never knew what to do with it because I'm not a big. Come to find out, I'm not a big fan of Patrick Valence's artwork. But, or we can just chat some more. Either way. Thank you guys so much for being here. So I almost canceled, to be honest, because I was like, oh, I don't know. But again, like we were talking earlier, the fear of it, you know, I was afraid. I don't know. It's different. But I'm passionate about this. I know you guys can probably tell. And I think that there's a voice in there for that. And I think you guys are all brave for coming in and sitting with me in this space, and I appreciate it. So yeah. Anybody else? I'm not ready to get off yet. I like just sitting with you guys. What's everybody's plans later today? I'm going to, it's raining here. I think I'm going to record some videos. I think I'm going to do a VR, the What Made Me Do It one. And then I think, oh, you're welcome, Darla. Thank you. And I think that I want to do, I want/need. I often say need when really it's a want. I would like to do my June wrap up, but I have a deck coming tomorrow. So I'm like, well, what are you going to do? Oh, journal setup. Just do you, oh, Elizabeth, yes, a lazy day. Pretty much that's going to be mine. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I do quite a bit of artwork too. That messy desk over here is, I have been dabbling yesterday all in watercolor. I want to do a painting of peonies with kind of the sunlit and stuff. So I've been kind of practicing that. And then on the weekends, I cook. I live with my folks and my children. So I'm going to make quiche. Yes, it's been so hot. So anyway, okay. Well, sounds like we've all got awesome plans. Again, thank you so much. And I'll catch you guys later. I'm sure in other folks, I'm now working in an office, so I can't sneak into lives as much as I could. But I will catch you all when I can. Thanks. Bye. Give a few time, a little bit for the, okay, bye.